Hello everyone, it's Phil. Welcome to another tweak guide. Wing Commander 3 is what we're going to tweak today. And lots of things that we need to tweak. By default, GOG has configured the music for Roland MT32, so we're going to switch that to General MIDI, and I'll show you how to use virtual MIDI synth and sound fonts. There are lots of issues with the resolutions and transitions going from room to room, and some graphics flickering or pauses of a couple of seconds when it changes the resolution. So I'm going to show you how to tweak that. Show you how you can avoid the issue of your wingman exploding right at the beginning of the mission. It has to do with the cycle speed. I'll also show you how to map the head on your joystick and the rudder so you can use that in the game, how to enable the subtitles and change the language, and a few other bits and pieces. After you've installed Wing Commander 3, we're going to start tweaking the music. The first thing on my list is virtual MIDI synth, so I'm just going to launch that. I'll put all the downloads of everything I show in the video down in the description. So we're just going to open it, and I've already got a sound font. I'm just going to show you how this works. I'm just going to remove this, and you can add a sound font here. And I've got a couple of choices, and I make it a thing that every tweak guide I use a different one. So today I'm going to go with the Timbers of Heaven, and then just press apply and OK. Now the next thing you need to do is configure the game to use General MIDI, and you go to your start button, click on all apps and go all the way down until you find Wing Commander 3. And there's a program here, the launch settings. So we're just going to run that. And that is the program where you can change your sound card and all sorts of other things. So it's just asking me to calibrate my joystick. So this is just a benchmark. It measures how fast your machine is. And back in the days, if you had a 486 instead of a Pentium, then it would lower the resolution. Gamma correction, just press escape here. The standard setting is fine. And this is quite an interesting screen on an original machine. On certain graphics cards, you could see a little bit of text below, and we could actually see that text before. And what it says is if you can read this message, press the Y button to trigger an alternative graphics mode. And that's what we need to do. And what this does is it'll make the transitions between going from one room to the next room. There's a little bit of a graphics glitch, and it'll just make it a little bit better. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be better than it was before. Okay, here we just go exit. And now we can change a few things, and you can see that they configured the music with the Roland MT32. Now, I'm not sure what GOG was thinking, it makes no sense. General MIDI is the right option, so go with setup music card. Change that to MPU 401 General MIDI and 330, and let's just click on play music and listen to it. So that's working. The digital sound effects card, that's fine. Language, if you want to have the game in French or in German, you can change that here. This will not affect the digital speech, only the text on the screen. You can configure the subtitles on and off. I'm going to switch that to on. And there was something else you can do. The input type, where is it? Control type, yep. So change that to Thrustmaster. So if you're playing with a joystick, even if you don't have a Thrustmaster, it doesn't matter. Just switch it to Thrustmaster. That way you can configure the head and also the rudder, and I'm going to show you how to do that later. Okay, and then just go save settings and exit. Okay, now that we have configured all of that, we need to get into the nitty-gritty stuff and configure our DOSBox configuration file. So you need to navigate to your GOG folder or wherever you installed the game. By default, it is under C GOG Games and then Wing Commander 3, and this is the config file, DOSBox Wing Commander 3. And there are lots of options. And if you have seen my videos in the past, you might be familiar with some of these tweaks. Let's start with the first one, full screen equals true. That just means that the game launches in full screen mode. Change that to false if you want it to open in window mode. Full resolution, that is the resolution that the game will run in full screen. I'm going with, you should go with the native resolution of your monitor. 1920 by 1080 is what I go for. Window resolution, that is the resolution if you switch into window mode. I'm going with 800 by 600. Output is the graphics output mode. I recommend going with OpenGL. If OpenGL doesn't work for you, you can try Direct Draw or OpenGL non-bilinear. So those are the options. OpenGL gives you a nice consistent look. Later on, I'll show you how to configure the mapper. And on some occasions, I noticed that when I access the mapper, that DOSBox will crash. And if that's the case, try Direct Draw instead. That has fixed the issue for me. Okay, let's continue. Down here, aspect ratio correction, set that to true to preserve the aspect ratio. It's not really an issue because this game uses 640 by 480 high resolution graphics, but if you do play the game in VGA resolution, then you want to have aspect ratio set to true. Scalar, normal 3x. CPU, change the core type to dynamic. This is quite a demanding game. And set the cycles instead of max to fixed 150,000. Now, where does this 150,000 come from? And this is a value that's really specific to my machine. Yours is a little bit different. So I'm just going to show you a little clip where I'm configuring my DOSBox cycle speed to get the perfect setting for my machine. Wing Commander 3 has a locked frame rate of 24 frames per second. You can open a frame counter by pressing Ctrl F. So on the top left, we can now see the FPS. We have got around 9 FPS, and that is way too low. And look at the cycle speed, I've got it set to 50,000. So by pressing Ctrl and F12, I can boost the cycle speed, and that way you keep boosting it until you get a constant 24. So on my machine, it's around 150,000. It might be slightly different on yours, but basically this is how you can tune the cycle speed to whatever machine you're using. So I'm using 150,000. That explains where this number comes from. So that's where the 150,000 came from. Also change the cycle up and down to 10,000, so it's a little bit faster to home in your cycle speed. Next, we've got the mixer sample rate. 22,000 is pretty old school. Sound Blaster Pro can do that. And there's one more thing down here under the Sound Blaster. Also change that here to 48,000. And then there's more to come under the joystick. If you're playing with the joystick, change the joystick type to FCS for Thrustmaster. That will allow you to configure the hat as well as the rudder. Timed equals true. That has worked for me fine, but you might have to change that to false just in case. It should work in both settings, but I'm using it for with true. It has worked fine for me, and that's why I'm keeping it. Okay, file save, and that's really everything we needed to do with the DOSBox config file. Let me just check that we've covered everything. Okay, and now we're gonna run the game, see that everything works fine, and I'll show you how to configure the HUD and the rudder with the joystick through the DOSBox mapper. So here we are in the game. We can see that the aspect ratio is all fine, and the music is now general MIDI. And I'm just going to click around really fast so you can see that the transitions are actually working pretty well. There's still a bit of a glitch when you click on characters and talk to them, but it's a lot better than it was before. And without tweaking, you might see the game actually switch resolutions and you get a pause of several seconds. So that's quite annoying. Okay, let's start our first mission. Here we are. So what you want to do is toggle the mapper, so press Alt Enter and then Control F1 to get to the mapper. So what you need to do next is map the hat. I recommend you print out the guide. It's not called the guide, it's called the Wing Commander 3 reference card that has all the keyboard shortcuts. F1 is looking forward, F2 is looking left, F3 right, F4 back. So we're gonna map the hat to these keys. So we start with F1, click on F1 and then press add. And then on the joystick, just push the hat forward. And you can see now it's binded the hat going forward from the T16000 joystick to the F1 key. Okay, do the same thing for F2, add, move the hat to the left, F3, add, move the hat to the right, and F4, add, and move the hat backwards. And I think the first one is actually wrong, it says axis 2, so just gonna delete that and do it again, add, move it forward, and now it's working. Okay, and the other thing we wanna do is the rudder. Wing Commander 3 has dedicated buttons for rolling left and right. These are insert and delete. So we're gonna press insert, hit the add button, and then twist the stick to the left to have the left rudder function. Then we click on the delete key, press add, and twist the joystick to the right side. And that's it. Hit the save button, exit, and we're good to go. So I'm just gonna toggle this to full screen. Okay. And we're good to go. The joystick should be working. So I'm just gonna see if the rudder works. So I'm just twisting my joystick left and right. And because that's mapped to buttons, you can actually still use the joystick while you're engaging the rudder. So both work at the same time, which is pretty cool. Let's try the hat. Looking rear, left, right, and forward. And if you toggle the forward hat again, you can go full screen mode and you just see the HUD displayed like that. And that's really it. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video this tweak guide, make sure you access the playlist. I've got a playlist of all the other tweak guides I've done for GOG and Steam games. And I'm just gonna say goodbye. If you enjoyed this video and you want to make sure you're getting future video updates, subscribe to my channel. And now I'm just gonna play the first mission. So yep, watch me play, and thanks for watching my video, and see you soon.
Sighted enemy craft, Colonel.
Break and attack.
Engage an enemy now.
Break and attack.
Engage an enemy now.
Mission objectives accomplished.
What's your status?
I'm happy to report that I've suffered no damage.
Need clearance, TCS Victory.
Excellent work, Colonel. I can see now that your reputation is well deserved.
You're cleared for landing, Colonel.
Pretty slick flying, sir.
Thanks, Chief.